Hello again. This week we're going to go back in history a little ways, back all the way to 1913, and we're going to look at some information and some pictures on the big flood and tornado that went through Clinton on Easter Sunday, March 13th, 1913. On a gloomy Sunday afternoon over a century ago, residents of the Midwest sat down to their Easter dinner and were blown away by more than just their food. On March 23rd of 1913, violent Easter tornado outbreaks swept through the Great Plains without warning, destroying everything in sight and killing at least 190 people, injuring hundreds of others. Beginning at 5:20 p.m., a series of F4 tornadoes touched down in Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, and Indiana. The outbreak followed on the heels of another series of tornadoes that had hit during the preceding couple of days, making for an exceptionally frightening and deadly weekend. On March 23rd of 1913, Clinton was in the middle of a tremendous disaster, the greatest disaster in its history. It started on the evening of Easter Sunday, March 23rd, when a F4 tornado swept across the Wabash River. It was on the ground for less than 2.5 minutes. With the tornado came flooding. On early Sunday, the Wabash River was at its normal levels. But by Monday the 24th, heavy rain upstream caused the river to rise at a record-breaking rate. By the next day, it had reached flood stage and continued rising at a rate of 12 inches an hour. During that brief time, many houses were demolished or damaged, many people injured, and some people died. With heavy flooding from the storm, there then came colder temperatures. Here on Water Street are homes flooded out and covered with snow. Devastation is enormous and the cost of damages is very high. The water has invaded the homes on the east side of Water Street, north of the Wagon Bridge, and the families have hiked to higher lands. Some were welcomed by relatives or friends, and some fell into the hands of the relief committee. The furniture, much of it dripping with water, was hauled to the Dease building on Water Street for storage until the waters recede and the refugees can go back to their homes. Conditions continue to grow worse during the latter part of the afternoon and evening as the rushing waters appeared to increase in fury. Swishing around the curve into the low section known as Walkerville, the current swept everything before it. A few of the old shacks in the district were tossed about and twisted until they are surely unfit for human habitation. Here is another photograph of men in boats looking at the flooding north of Terre Haute near Clinton. They are looking at the spot where the Clinton Railroad line should be. Bulletin. By telegraph to the Clintonian at 2:30 p.m., the coroner's list of dead to the time names only 15. But the following are now reported definitely identified among the victims. They are Ina Davis, Miss Hannah Tully, Miss Bell, Harley Davis, Moses Carter, Mrs. Moses Carter, and children, Jeff and Fox and McBride, Neil Yeager, Chandace Edwards, Joseph Hout, Dr. Ernest Moore, James Brown, Alexander Rogers, Fred King, Mrs. Fred King and her baby, M.A. Corder, Will Matherly, William Griffins, Bryant Hunt, and Infant Hines. There are also 96 people reported injured. Headline: Storm part of general cyclone over 10 states. As was anticipated by the people of Clinton and neighboring towns Friday, the gale which swept over here with cyclonic force, as was reported in the Clintonian, was a part of a general storm. It was even worse, however, than had been anticipated, as such winds often are confined to a comparatively small area. Terre Haute, Paris, Brazil, and scores of other Indiana towns in the area and cities were windswept, many of them reporting damages even greater than that in Clinton. Damage to the ME Church in Harmony near Brazil is estimated at $3,000. A review of the day's storm, as the news is gathered from various parts of the country, indicates that probability of 100 persons were killed in the cyclone, which swept 10 states. The number injured probably will reach 500, and of those, many more will die of wounds suffered in the wrecks. It figures the extent of the property damage cannot be given, but probably will reach $3 million. Wire destruction has been great, and the full size of the calamity will be unknown for several days. I hope you enjoyed the presentation this week. We encourage you to come to our library. We're open Monday through Saturday, and the genealogy department has a lot of information if you're interested. Thank you.